Thomas, it's up for grabs now. Thomas.
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira.
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it. Well,
Fabulous solo goal by pierre-emerick.
Good evening, and finally we are here for today's edition of the Arsenal Lounge on a Monday with your favourites, Tom and Mo. Before we go into introductions, obviously, as you can see, we're one down today. And we here at the Arsenal Lounge, we do listen to our fans. We do listen to what's said. And, we've had to begrudgingly ask Shaheen to stand down from hosting for a little bit because we're getting a lot of complaints. So, with the popular demand, we have us three, Tom, Mo, and myself. We're doing this today. No more messing around. Sorry, Shaheen, you're on the bench for now. So, starting with Tom, how you doing, mate?
Oh yeah, all the better that we got the strong team on tonight, and there's no cup rotation, none of that. It's the first
sympathy
11
votes.
Yeah, but I'm very good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Still positive stuff to discuss. And, it should be running a lot smoother today. So, let's hope that continues to be the case. And Mo, the Neighbourhood Watch, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Sorry, no, Neighbourhood Watch references because a neighbour of mine was just asking me whether I'd seen some stuff that was going on our street. It sounds like I'm living in like a really bad area, but yeah, no, that was it. And also, Shaheen just can't shake off this tag of hating Arsenal when we win because, through the dire times, he was here non-stop and all of a sudden we win and he went here 1 week and then he not here and stuff. Yeah, doesn't like it when Arsenal win.
Mate, he clearly doesn't, and we're not standing for it here on the Arsenal Lounge. So as I said, we've put him on the bench for today. But no, the truth is, it's Iranian New Year's. So as well as benching him for obvious reasons, it's also Iranian New Year. So I wish him a happy, is it Nowruz? I think it's happy Nowruz. He's with his family. I wish you all my Iranian counterparts, all your Iranian loungers and everyone else celebrating a happy Nowruz. All right, so moving on from that. So, guys, we'll get to the nitty-gritty of everything. Still positive. Saturday, 12:30 was the kickoff. Villa Park, playing against Aston Villa. An informed Aston Villa as well. I was a little bit concerned, not going to lie. But a very dogged, professional, and at times, impressive performance. I'll start with you, Mo. I mean, what was your thoughts on the game on Saturday?
Do you know what? I was... absolutely delighted. One thing that I said, I can't remember what game it was, but in one of our recent games was that we started off from the first minute ready to sort of like play with the intensity and the urgency and like create that domination in the game. And it's something that I, for as long as I can remember, have complained about with Arsenal, where I've said, why waste the first half? When you see a massive upturn in effort and energy levels in the second half, you think to yourself, like, why do you have to sort of like get into the latter stages of a game to really, really start putting the effort in? And Mikel Arteta really has got the team putting the work in from the first minute. And we saw that against Aston Villa. And what that created, in my opinion, was a control in the game that Aston Villa were really unable to shake off. Generally, you see teams like really come into the game when they're 1-0 down, 20 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go. And obviously, Aston Villa did that to an extent. But Arsenal controlled the entire first half. We controlled the majority of the second half. And even in that period, when naturally a team does start to do a little bit more in the game, one shot on target from a set piece. We showed exemplary control in that game. And I think it was a fantastic managerial performance from Mikel Arteta. I was really, really impressed.
Wow. I mean, look, I'll have to agree with you on that, Mo. The one thing I was concerned about over the last few seasons is our inability to control a game, to go away like we used to and maintain possession and have some sort of patterns of play and some, it's obvious when you look at our team right now, we know what we're doing and we know what our game plan is. Tom, you've heard what Mo's been saying about it. I mean, what you got to add about the performance on Saturday, mate?
Yeah, it was excellent. I think that we are, considering the fact that we'd obviously played Liverpool less than 3 days prior, to play pretty much the entire same team and to have as much energy as we did. I mean, Mikel Arteta promised that they would be 100% fit and ready for the game, and he was absolutely proven right. It shows the work that's going on behind the scenes with the coaching staff and with the players to make sure that they are ready for these matches. And I think there is a different level of intensity to our game. It's the first time we've been to Villa. I think it's the first win we've had against Villa in something like 3 years away from home. We've really struggled going to Villa Park. In fact, I saw a great stat that last season we managed to pick up 3 points out of a possible 18 against Villa, Wolves and Leicester. This season, we've picked up 18 out of 18 points against Villa, Wolves and Leicester. I mean, you talk about the progress that's being made. That's a massive step forwards. We have to beat these types of teams if we want to get what we want to get. And, you know, we've got some really big fixtures coming up, but we're setting ourselves up ourselves. We're not just relying on other teams messing up with their points and dropping points themselves, but, you know, these are really important fixtures that other teams like Man United have gone to Villa and not been able to win. Spurs, I think, have got to go there in a couple of weeks, and we'll be interested to see what they've got to do as well. But very, very happy with the performance, especially considering, as I say, that, you know, it's been 3 days since we played a very, very demanding Liverpool team on the Wednesday.
Yeah, no, good point. I mean, there's some people in the chats here saying, you know, they were happy with that performance, but they were shocked at how poor Villa were. I think we're doing us a little bit of an injustice there, because I don't think we really allowed them to play. I mean, you got to look at that midfield that Villa have. It's not some joke midfield. Ramsey is a energetic, young, up-and-coming.
I'd buy him. I'll tell you right now. I would absolutely sign him. Yeah.
Another midfielder I really rate, I think is underrated, is McGinn. I think he's a very good midfielder. I think he gets about a lot. He gets a lot of the ball. He tends to control things when they play at Villa Park, and I don't think we gave him a sniff. I really don't. I think Thomas Partey was brilliant in midfield, working with xhaka, Odegaard again, orchestrating things. Emil Smith-Rowe come in for Martinelli and brought in something different. You forget how good Smith-Rowe is. I mean, he might not have that blistering rapid pace of Martinelli, but he brings something different. You know, and it's difficult to see how we can leave them out long term. It'd be nice to get them both in, but look, I think we were really good first half. The only thing that keeps coming back to me and annoys me, first half, that game should have been dead and buried, and it wasn't. And we still have this issue where we're creating lots of chances, but only, you know, capitalizing on maybe 1 or 2 and leaving it sort of you know, in the hands of the gods a little bit. I mean, as well as we played on Saturday, it only would have taken one, you know, amazing shot on the edge of the box or a set piece, and we could have been levels again. I mean, do you see that affecting us with the last, you know, 10 games or so that we've got left, Mo?
Yeah, of course it will, because, you know, the games will get less and less open. There'll be more and more touchy as you get to that last part of the season, and we've got some huge games, you know, United, Chelsea, Tottenham, West Ham. We've got some huge games. Those games won't be open games. What that means is when you get a chance, you have to be clinical. But we know that we aren't a especially clinical team when it comes to, you know, our striker and Lacazette. He's not especially clinical. We don't have that sort of Kane element to our team where Tottenham, it's not like they've got goals from everywhere. They just know Harry Kane in the final third with the ball at his feet makes the right decision and does the business. You know, I hate to praise him, but we saw Lacazette. He could have slipped in Odegaard, made the wrong call, and chance gone. That should have been a goal. Harry Kane there, if that's Son, he passes that and they score. It's just a fact. So, yeah, I think that what it, you know, the silver lining to that is that if we can get top 4 above expectation this year, get that Champions League money, and then add clinical players to our team, you know, this is Arsenal when we're not clinical and we don't have great squad depth. You imagine Arsenal when we are blessed with squad depth and clinical players, the future's bright as far as I'm concerned. And I just go back to the point you made about Aston Villa not being impressive. This is why I spoke about us establishing control from the first minute. Aston Villa were not impressive because of how impressive Arsenal were. Often you look at a game and you think to yourself, why did we win today? Was it that we were that good or the other team were not or not great? And, you know, you might call it one way or another. For me, against Villa, it was not due to Villa's fault. It was all about Arsenal's strength, our work on the ball, our work off the ball, our good passing. There were passages of that game where if I had the kind of facility of like the Sky Sports analysis tools, I'd be like pointing at players saying, look at what he does after he plays the ball. The amount of off the ball movement just in little 6-yard pockets to make sure we always had a pass on was absolutely brilliant. And I don't think it got enough sort of like praise after the game, just how good Arsenal were in controlling that. I thought we were honestly so good away from home, with Ramsdale injured, with Martinelli out, off the back of a defeat. You know, we were brilliant, and it wasn't an easy circumstances for all the reasons I just mentioned. Arsenal deserve a hell of a lot of praise.
And let's not forget, you know, not just Martinelli was out, Ramsdale was out, Leno came in, did very well. I mean, it was obvious the difference. Tom, I'll ask you this. The differences between Ramsdale and Leno stood out for me, because we hardly saw any early throw-outs, any early sort of kicks that Ramsdale usually does, searching for a quick breakaway. We didn't get that from Leno, but we still got an assured goalkeeping performance, no?
Yeah, goalkeeping wise, it was solid. It's what we can come to expect from Leno. You know, he's a good goalkeeper. In terms of modern goalkeeping, the distribution, you know, that's obviously something that he does lack in comparison to Ramsdale, and you can definitely see the vindication behind why we went for Ramsdale in the summer. But knowing that with Ramsdale out, and that was always a possibility, goalkeepers can get injured, and we've now seen that with Ramsdale. Ensuring that we're not falling back on Runarsson, you know, like we could have sold Leno in the summer. We could have got Ramsdale in, knowing that he was going to be the number one, and moved him on. We didn't do that. We could have let him go in January, and there were links with Newcastle in January. There were links with Turkey, I think, as well, for Leno in January. We could have moved him on, and we didn't do that, and we've kept him, and we're definitely already reaping the benefits of that decision. Matt Turner's going to come in the summer, and, you know, he's really highly rated, and his distribution is going to be better than Leno's, from what I understand. It's not to the level of, say, Zach Steffen, but it is certainly of a more accomplished level than what Leno currently achieves. And I think that Leno being there for probably the Palace game and the one after that, maybe that's Southampton or Brighton, one of the two. I'm fine with that, because, you know, they're games in which we can probably control most of the possession of those matches. But in the second half in particular, what we did see is that we went long quite a lot, because the pressure was certainly on our back line, and Leno didn't feel comfortable playing out short to them. And you can understand why, because he's made mistakes in the past in those positions. So whilst I don't mind necessarily him going long, I think we do need to be a bit better about recovering possession from those long kicks as early as possible. And we probably need to stop the ball getting to Leno, if you know what I mean. We need to try and recover possession before it gets to the stage where Leno's going to have to take a goal kick or a drop kick or whatever. Or at least if he's got the ball in his hands, that we're making sure that we're quickly available in those deeper areas for him to kind of lay the ball out to, rather than that. Because as soon as we get the ball long, Villa were then back on us, and the pressure increased. And against better sides, maybe against United and Spurs and West Ham and Chelsea before the end of the season, if it is still Leno in goal, which, you know, could happen, even though that's quite some time away still, that could be where we come undone, where we lack that extra bit of control in the game.
And whilst we're talking about both goalkeepers, can I just say, how nice was it to see Ramsdale there in attendance to support him? And, you know, just like how he was bigging Leno up after the game, pushing him to go and take the plaudits. Just, do you know what? It's just nice to see a team of, like, fairly nice characters. And it seems like that's what we've got at Arsenal. You know, I really, there's been a time in the past couple of years where I've looked at the team and I thought, I don't like you guys. That's my honest assessment. And I look at the team now and I think to myself, you know, Ben White, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, Tierney, Ramsdale, you know, the saying goes, I'd love to have a drink with them. I'd love to go and have a shisha with them, you know. I look at Bukayo, Saka, Smith Rowe, Odegaard. They seem like
not
nice
that we're encouraging our players to smoke or anything.
Of course. But you know what I mean? Like, they actually seem like nice characters, and there seems like real camaraderie in the team. It's just great. Really like it. Everything around Arsenal right now seems really positive.
Mo, you've hit the nail on the head, and it's a great segue for me, because, you know, I think the reason as fans we are warming to this particular group is that players are the reflection of the manager in a sense, and we've always also as fans, we've seen Arsenal as an extension of us. We're the fans. We want to see a team that reflects what we used to seeing and what epitomizes Arsenal. I think at the moment we're starting to get that. The characters that we've brought in have started to win the fans over, and this is where I say it was a perfect segue, because we're now warming to this group and we're now happy, and, you know, we're starting to really get behind this team. But then outside of that group, it seems to be causing a lot of issues elsewhere. Other fans don't like it, right? We've seen Laura Woods on TalkSport very, very eloquently putting Gabby well, let's just call him Gabby. It's easier for me.
Agbon Lahore.
That one. Agbon Lahore. There you go. Gabby Agbon Lahore. He's very eloquently putting his argument to bed using a previous interview he had made, saying that that's what fans want. They want to see passion. They want to see you celebrating. But where is this all coming from, guys? I really want to get to the crux of this, because let's be honest, when it comes to Arsenal, it's not just it's media, it's the pundits, it's now others complain about our celebrating. I mean, where does it stop? I mean, I'll start with you, Mo. Where do you think this all comes from? What is going on? It's like we live in an alternate universe when it comes to Arsenal.
Do you know, like when Man City or Liverpool or Chelsea beat a team, you don't hear this. You don't hear that, oh, they over-celebrated. I think it might be because teams sort of expect to lose against them, and Liverpool, Chelsea, City expect to win. So it doesn't maybe hurt as much for the opposition, because they look at City and think, oh, this is going to be tough today. We're still going to struggle to get something out of the game. And also for City, they're so used to bloody winning, that maybe it doesn't mean as much. So the two elements here are, for Arsenal, Villa away, it's not a walk in the park. It's a tough game. It's 1-0. We're having to work hard for it. So it means a lot at the end. You don't celebrate like that when you coast to a 5-0 win. A lot of our games, they're by small margins, 1 or 2 goals. So you win that, you feel very happy. Often it's like, we're down to 10 men and stuff. You really have to graft for it. And I think that's what comes out in the celebrations, that relief that, the pressure situation that Arsenal are in as a very young team, proving doubters wrong, that all comes out in the celebration. And then on the opposite side, when you look at the opposition, they sort of think, oh man, we could have got something out of the game. And they get a bit agitated by, that expression of joy that Arsenal are doing. So I think the two things combined, sort of like a vicious cycle. The opposition team don't like it, and Arsenal absolutely flipping love it. And I just think it's a recipe for really, really boring, tiring criticism now. But I have to say, I think majority of people are sort of coming round to the fact that this is a really, really lame hobby to criticize celebrations. There are some people that persist in it, but, for me, it's taught me a lesson, because I think to myself, let's say, for example, Tottenham got a last-minute winner against West Ham and celebrated, big time. I might have done it. I might have sort of just because I'm salty about it. I might have done it.
I hear you. Yeah.
And I think it's a lesson for all of us that actually, it's really not a good look. Just let people celebrate. It's just it's
so salty. It's unreal. I don't get it. All fans want to see from their team is the passion and desire to do well. And the fact that these guys are chasing every ball, chasing every point they can win, and they're celebrating 3 points like it's a huge win. I want to see that passion. Tom, I mean, you tell me as well. I mean, it's not just media, pundits and all of that. I still think we get a bad rub of the green when it comes to refereeing as well. I mean, yesterday, you saw McGinn run across and literally push lacazette to the ground forcefully. The hands were up. It was it's for me, that's a red card, right? In the letter of the law. Yes, it could be a bit soft. And if he was playing in the 70s or 80s in the Leeds teams and all those sort of teams back in the day, yes, it would be soft. But that surely was a red. Also, I saw challenges on Saka that were going unpunished, that looked really bad. But then some of our players, one foul, yellow. Another foul, yellow. Then you had Steven Gerrard come out yesterday, and Mo kindly tweeted it out, and I saw it as well today, suggesting that Saka shouldn't be asking for protection because he's got nuts and bolts in his joints holding him together like the Bionic Man. And that justifies the fact that a player shouldn't ask for protection. But surely that is the exact reason players should be getting protected more today. Tom?
I think that also the moment with Granit Xhaka and the referee when Bobby Madley points to apparently 3 fouls that have been made to then book him as a consequence of his little back and forth with Emi Buendia.
That was ridiculous.
And then Gallagher on the Sky Sports breakdown today said that he had it coming, like that he had his yellow coming, despite the fact he'd made no fouls prior to that
No
point
previous,
at all. No previous whatsoever. It's behaviour profiling of Arsenal's players, in particular players like Granit Xhaka, that granted have a reputation of sorts, but it's mental to think that, you know, there's this kind of, the Arsenal have this blanket over them that referees now judge us differently because we're Arsenal. And it isn't fair. And there's a reason why the FA are investing heavily in the coming years to try and improve the standard of officiating, because it's not good enough. It's not been good enough for a very, very long time. As Arsene Wenger famously said, there was a reason why no referees went to the World Cup from England, because the officiating level is so poor, and it's of a standard of which does not stack up to what, I'm not going to sit here and say stack up to say certain leagues, because when you watch other leagues, you realise that the standard of officiating across Europe, I mean, anyone who watched the Manchester United Atletico Madrid game, that's one of the worst officiating performances I've ever seen in that game. And to be honest, it was fortunate for me. I hate seeing Man United go any further, but they were very hard done by the referee during that game. And it was awful officiating from the referee in that fixture. So it definitely spreads out beyond England, but in particular the Premier League. The level and the money that's involved and the decisions that need to get right in this league fairly, it's just not done. But yeah, on those moments, Saka asking for protection quite rightly. Players are going to start getting seriously injured soon, far more than they should be, because they're not getting the protection, because players aren't being punished. They're not being reminded their, you know, the responsibility to. There's an element of respect. Like when you're going for a challenge, you should be going in for a challenge knowing that you're in control of the challenge that you're making. If you're going in for a challenge out of control, it's done through absent-mindedness and also with the back of your mind that you've completely ignored the player safety of your opponent. You're going to endanger the opponent's health with one of those challenges. And Tyrone Mings, in my opinion, did that. I got into a few discussions with Villa fans on Twitter on the day after that certainly didn't feel that way, which is fair, saying that he won the ball. But just winning the ball is not the law, first of all. If you are out of control and you're using excessive force, which Mings did, you know, you need to get punished. And he got a yellow. Arguably, some people might say it's a red. I think it may be a bit harsh to call that one a red, but it was certainly a yellow. He got a yellow for it in that instance, so you have to say fair play to the referee. But overall, it was a really poor performance. But yeah, the celebration.
It was that same melee. It was that same incident, wasn't it? I think that the Mings foul on Saka, then everyone got together and started all like, you know, there was an altercation, and then McGinn came running around and pushed Lacazette to the ground. That's got to be a red, and it wasn't even looked at. It wasn't even talked about. It was just fobbed off, and I'm 100% certain that if Xhaka was the one pushing one of their players to the ground, he'd be off, which makes you ask the question, why? Like, what is it about us that people see and just want to just basically make decisions that go against everything that the game usually is about? I don't know, it just really grinds me. So I just thought I'd mention that. But also,
but
what I wanted to ask, go on, Mo. Yeah, please. I
just want to touch on the Gerrard thing. You know, just to really, really pin down on the absolute stupidity of what Steven Gerrard is saying. It's like, I don't understand the logic. You know, when something, let's go outside of football here. When something bad happens to you, why would you not want the causes, the flaws in the system that have led to that bad thing happening to you? Why would you not want them fixed instead of wanting them to remain flawed so other people suffer what you're suffering? To me, this is beyond kind of like social media and a conversation between us guys and football. This is like some serious psychiatric work that needs to go on in Steven Gerrard's head. It's like, can you imagine people that have suffered from, like, you know, cladding and flammable cladding? Would they not want every piece of flammable cladding to come off every single property in the UK rather than saying, oh, that's just the way it is? You know, this is people's health and safety. Ian Wright has got a fused knee. He can't really play football anymore. You know, Steven Gerrard, by his own admission, was talking about he struggles to go to the gym. You would have thought that these senior professionals who won't be able to play with their grandchildren as much as they would like, you know, and do all the things that they want to do, would have some form of empathy with these young professionals and say, I hope you don't have that. Remember the old footballs that people used to play with?
Yeah, they used to give you Alzheimer's and stuff. Yeah, because it got wet. When they got wet,
they used to get heavier and heavier. They'd absorb all of that. And then they said, actually, no, this isn't nice. This isn't good. Let's stop this so players don't suffer these consequences. In Formula One, did any drivers say, no, we don't want the halo? So-and-so broke his neck once, so we should all... I just don't understand what sort of person, purely because of things that have happened to them, don't want to fix these so it can continue to happen to others. Steven Gerrard, honestly, has had an absolute nightmare with that. And frankly, he's just exposed himself for not being a very empathetic or nice person.
I'm convinced it's purely down to the club that they're talking about. I really am now, because it just seems to be, I don't hear anybody ever go, oh, why is Leicester celebrating? Or why Tottenham celebrating? Why is Man United celebrating? No one ever asked that question. But for some reason, when it comes down to us, and I've come down to the conclusion now that they don't like the fact that there could be a resurgence going on. They were happy for us to be this team on a downward spiral from their glory years, laughing at us, look at you guys now and where you once were, etc. But the fear that we may actually be coming back to some sort of level that is befitting of our club is where this is all coming from. I'm pretty sure of it. I just can't, there can't be anything else to pin it on. But what I also wanted to ask you guys as well is if there were any particular subjects either of you would like to bring up based on what we've been hearing over this last week. Because now that Shaheen's not here, we could do what we want. So, you know, Tom, I know that there was a particular subject you wanted to bring up. So throw it in the circle, mate.
Yeah, I mean, something that's got discussed in chat boxes that I've had on shows and discussions on Twitter that I've had and videos I've seen as well is talking about kind of this idea around standards and kind of the standard that we hold Arsenal to and about the context of achieving top four and what that means for Arsenal and where we judge the club and we judge the players and we judge the manager based upon where we finish. And this idea that finishing top four is not of, you know, it doesn't mean anything, basically. It's not an achievement because Arsenal shouldn't be finishing in the top four. They should be challenging for titles. And I'd love to get kind of your thoughts on where you sit on that argument. Because I know that, Lev, you've said that about, you know, finishing fourth is the minimum expectation. If, say, Arteta didn't finish fourth, maybe you'd have to ask some questions. So, you know, it'd be interesting to see what your thoughts are on this argument.
Well, I'll start with it first, if you don't mind. I don't understand the logic. And this is why I don't understand the logic. Your team hasn't been at the levels that you've been accustomed to for quite some time now. We're obviously going through a cycle. Football is all about cycles. Look at where Man United once were. Look at where they are now. Look at where City once were. Look at where they are now. And so on and so on. You can just keep going on. We're in a transitional cycle. We had these glory years. In order for us to get back to where we need to get back to, you need to go stage by stage. You can't just go, we're brilliant. We're shit now. We're going to be brilliant again. It don't work that way. You've got to see progress. And the only way you can really look at progress is via your league table, consistency, and things that you win. We've won a few FA Cups, but still our fans weren't happy. Why weren't they happy? Because they want to see us doing better in the league. I get that. And that's all comes, again, down to consistency. For us to achieve top four would show real progress. It will show that we're going in the right direction. It will show that we're getting the consistency required to get to those levels. And it will also give us the capacity to go out and buy better players to take us to the next level. So you can't have one without the other. So those sitting there saying, oh, top four, you going on like it's a trophy, or top four, what is you've lowered your aspirations. They need to have a good look at themselves and ask themselves this question: how do you judge progress? I don't understand the logic, but Mo, I mean, I'll pass this over to you.
Yeah, you know, it's a really annoying one because, you know, when you're great, when Arsenal were winning titles and then we started to slip, then, you know, it was a case of, oh, if we go below top four, then Arsene Wenger needs to go and all that. And it was sort of like, we can't slip below that. So on the way down, it was something of influence. It was something that mattered. It was almost sort of like a invisible level, invisible level that we shouldn't go below. So then why can't it be also true on the way up? That it's like an invisible level that has some significance and it has some influence. All I'd say is that, look, is there a correlation? Just if we all answer this question, anyone watching in our own heads, is there a correlation between money and trophies in football. If there is a correlation between money and trophies, then fourth place matters. Because I don't think any single one of us are sitting here thinking fourth place is our destination. And this is what I say on my fan cams all the time. For Mikel Arteta, fourth place, aka Champions League qualification, is not the destination. Once he gets that, it's not hand on heads, feet up. It's a case of, right, the real work starts now. The quality of the opposition gets harder. The expectations get amped up. You know, finishing fifth is now failure. Whilst finishing fifth this season would have been, at the start of the season, perhaps acceptable. So actually, all the hard work starts now. This is simply a checkpoint in our journey to the destination. And, you know, as you said, Lev, you can't just go, it's not just a flick of a switch. Oh, we're 8th last year, 1st this year. It doesn't work like that. What happens is that qualification gives you that money to then be able to invest in the team. And now we expect some acceleration in terms of getting to our goals. So I get a bit tired of people trying to diminish the fourth place thing. No one is claiming it's a trophy. No one is claiming it's a destination. But I think, you know, it shows sort of a lack of footballing awareness and footballing understanding if you don't see how that accelerates your journey to proper success. So I personally don't bother engaging with people that I need to explain that to. I'm a very well-versed football fan. I understand the game. I understand the financial side of the game. And if I'm talking to someone that can't see how fourth place helps you fast track to success, frankly, I get a little bit demotivated talking to them and having to explain these basics.
Yeah, it's almost like those fans that maybe wanted Arteta out or didn't want him to succeed. Now their next excuse is, oh, you've lowered your expectations as a fan to fourth because we're heading to fourth. I mean, Tom, I'd like to hear your views on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, imagine if, say, we sacked Arteta after the Villarreal game and then brought in a Ten Hag or brought in a Graham Potter and they finish fourth this season. I wonder what the narrative would be from those that have wanted Arteta out. Say it'd probably be, wow, look what happens when you change your manager. You go from 8th to 4th. And you look at what Arteta's doing this season. I still look back at what happened in the previous two. I honestly think it's an absolute miracle that we won the FA Cup in 2020, that we won, you know, a trophy, a major trophy with that team that was, when you look at it on paper, how we managed to beat Chelsea and Manchester City to get to that, to win that trophy is mad. Last season was poor, and we know that. And the first half of last season just completely wrecked the whole season in general. And, you know, we went out disappointingly in Europa League. But this season, we've learned from the mistakes of the past. We've made big changes to the squad. We've got personalities out of the team that wasn't meshing with what he wanted. And we've brought mentality in the form of Ramsdale and Odegaard and White and Tomiyasu. And you've got more players coming through that are leaders as well, like Lokonga, who was a captain at Anderlecht. You know, Tavares, you're showing real promise to, that have improved this team. We're showing pathways to players in the youth side. I mean, one of the biggest criticisms of Arteta was that he doesn't care about youth. Do you remember that? Do you remember those claims? Arteta doesn't care about the kids. He's not giving Gabriel Martinelli a chance. Well, Gabriel Martinelli is now one of the best and most integral players to this group. We've given Charlie Patino a senior debut. Mari Hutchinson, Zach Swanson are regularly on the bench. Alabiosu was on the bench. We've seen Mika Bieref be on the bench. Sure, they've not come on yet, but that experience... Yeah, of course. And being on the bench and that experience of being on the bench is really critical to their development as a player as well, whilst they're still performing for the under-23s. Salah Radin, of course, is on the bench for the Leeds game in the Cup too. So there's so many things to be positive about that when you then switch the narrative and then go, oh, you know, I'm not sure about the Champions League. I'm not sure what we would do if we were to qualify. Because that's the other one. I saw a debate on Twitter the other day between two people I follow, that were discussing about the idea of Arsenal being in the Champions League. And one of the people on this Twitter debate was saying that, you know, what's the point? We're going to get battered. We're going to go in to get battered. I'd rather be in the Europa League where we've got a better chance of winning the trophy. And I for the life of me, I can't understand that. I can't understand that point of view and that theory, because getting into the Champions League, and one of the arguments they use, the only reason that people want to be in the Champions League is because of money and because you're able to sign better players. And I'm like, yeah, that's one quite big part of it, because if you can get into the Champions League, it does give you more money. It does give you a better kind of footing in the transfer market to sign better players in order to progress yourself forwards to those ambitions of being title challengers again. And I can't understand that. And I don't know where that would come from.
Tom, what happens then if you win the Europa League? Someone's saying you don't want to be in the Champions League because you're not going to win it, so you'd rather be in the Europa League. But then if you win the Europa League, you're in the Champions League. This person can have no peace in their life.
And I see it all the time. I see people going back and forth, because I probably should reassess who I follow on Twitter. Let's be real. That's the solution to my problem.
I just want to say one thing. I've just looking at the chat. A lot of people are talking about Lee Gunner. I'm not sending for anyone. This is not specifically about Lee Gunner.
I haven't watched any of his recent shows, so I don't even know what they're talking about.
No, actually, I do recall. I have seen a clip of Lee Gunner's. Like, people have put it up on Twitter. He's not even on Twitter, but people are putting it on Twitter and giving him pelters and stuff like that. But this isn't an opinion solely held by him. Lee Gunner doesn't have a monopoly on this whole fourth place being a trophy thing. Other people say that or think that as well. So this isn't a case of sending for Lee Gunner or talking about him but not saying his name. If I wanted to say something about him, I'd say something about him. I follow him on Instagram. I'm on good terms with him. I don't agree with many of his.
Mo, how dare you?
I don't want this to be an immature sort of like beef.
I know.
The point is, listen, if Lee Gunner thinks that, that's absolutely fine. I disagree with him, but who cares? So
it's the point that I think, certain points of view get married to certain personalities and characters, and that's fair enough. And so that's where clearly people are coming from. But if you go onto Twitter, which is a site used by hundreds of thousands of millions of people, there are lots of opinions. And, there are a lot of people on Twitter that I disagree with and that I have discussions with and have good debates with respectfully. Sometimes the other side of things aren't so respectful. And this is why when he called you Shaheen then, Lev. This is why when Lev asked me to come up with a topic, and I saw this.
I was going to remove you there, Tom, for a minute.
When someone was discussing this on their Twitter feed, going back and forth, I can't get my head around this Champions League idea and the idea of these standards. It's really strange. If it is the case it's coming from Lee, and it's maybe people that watch his channel, that's fair enough. But at the same time, it's important to discuss these different points of views, because that's why I brought it to the table, because I just can't get my head around it.
But they kind of say, like, in life generally, if you're the smartest person in your circle, or if you're the most successful person in your circle, you're in the wrong circle. Yeah. And if you have that sort of ambition mindset in life, you generally hope to go on to bigger and better things. If you're the smartest person in the room, get into a different room, be the dumbest person, you will accelerate your growth. That's why I want to be in the best competitions. That's why I want to be in the Champions League. I'd rather be one of the worst teams in the Champions League than the best team, than the Sevilla of the Europa League, for example. Will
we really be the worst, though? Come on. If you look at our team, I just don't understand that.
No, Lev, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm just saying is that I'd rather kind of say, I want to get to the very, very, very top. That is my ambition for Arsenal Football Club. If that means that we have to go through some painful years until we level up, so be it. We're only going to level up by being at the top, And I know that we tried for 20 years and failed, but I'm never going to stop trying. That's just not in my DNA. And I would hope that the management at the club is not in their DNA either to say, oh, let's take the easy ride. That's not what I want.
Super chat in from Wayne Sage. Don't worry, bro. I did see it. I was just waiting for the convo to sort of slow down a little bit. Thank you again for your support, bro. You're always here watching. You're always supporting. Thank you. Big up yourselves, Mo, Tom, and Lev. I heard you say, Mo, that finishing top 4 isn't our destination. Some fans think that that's the goal. Neeks on another channel said Arsenal is rebuilding to get to Champions League, which is nonsense. Thank you, Wayne. Look, at the end of the day, I have to agree with you guys. I don't understand any of this logic. I mean, you've got to be looking at where, how to improve, and you've got to have targets, especially in sport. There's targets to achieve. And surely as a manager, if you haven't been in the top 4 for many seasons, one of your first thoughts should be, that's going to be one of our goals. We've got to get to the top 4 first. We've got to get back to that. So I don't understand anyone who suggests that a fan who thinks that getting into top 4 is a good place for us to be. Anyone that's accused of being lacking in aspirations, I just don't understand that whatsoever. But Mo, coming over to you, mate. Is there any particular subject you wanted to bring up?
Yeah,
I know there was something.
Unfortunately, not a good one. You know, we were talking about the fact that everything around Arsenal was positive at the moment.
Oh,
well,
okay.
one thing that happened that wasn't positive has now been compounded by another thing that's happened that's not positive. And the thing that I'm talking about was the attack on a Sikh fan at the Liverpool game, if I'm not mistaken.
I heard about that.
It's like horrible, horrible, horrible news. You know, you just don't expect that at Arsenal. I've never not felt comfortable taking like my wife or my nieces and nephews and stuff to Arsenal. Arsenal's it's a good club. And you know what? It really upsets me that, you know, when like a lot of these incidents might happen at other clubs. Let's say, for example, something happened at Chelsea. You know,
you kind of expect it, don't you?
Well, you'd kind of say, oh, it's not the first time.
But you do.
You might say it's not the first time and that sort of thing. You're more surprised with some clubs than others. If something happens at Chelsea or something happens at Fulham, you know, there's a different element of surprise in your reaction. And when I saw this happen at Arsenal, I was really surprised. But you know what leaves a real black mark is that no one's come forward, which means that actually to a lot of Arsenal fans, this is acceptable. You've seen a Sikh fan apparently has had his turban removed from his head forcefully, and you think that this is okay, like you're not going to say anything. I'm really, really upset by that, and I just solidarity with that fan, and I feel awful for them. And now I've just on my Twitter, a guy called Shazad Malik, thank you for sharing, Shazad, has shared tweeted a tweet from a guy called Jack Mendel. And if you want to see this, his Twitter account is Mendelpol, Mendelpol. And I haven't watched it yet, but this is what the tweet says. Arsenal fans singing vile anti-Semitic songs when they played Villa this weekend. What a nice bunch. Just banter, of course. And I haven't watched it yet. But it's some fans on a train. They're probably not aware that they're being recorded. And if they are singing anti-Semitic chants on a train, you don't know who's around. No matter where it is, stadium, train, even if it's in your own flipping shower when you're alone. Like, what are you playing at? And, you know, it's just upsetting to me that I would have hoped that the thing that happened with the Sikh fan was an isolated incident, but now anti-Semitic chants on a train, like, I just, you know, it's just frustrating.
The anti-Semitic chants, Mo, I mean, when Arsenal sing, what do you think of Tottenham? And at the end of that chant is the use of the Y word, and
that's been around for years.
And it has been around for years. Yeah. When I was younger, I would sing that song completely uneducated as to the meaning of...
As would their own fans, Tom.
And exactly, of course. And my good friend Mike, who you guys know, does the Gooners pods, and is obviously doing Gooners versus Cancer. He's Jewish, and, you know, whenever he comes to Arsenal and he watches games and we go to games together, you know, he's exceptionally uncomfortable when that song is chanted because of the use of the Y word at the end of it. Sky Sports recently did a thing. I think it was Sava Soliko, who was outside the Spurs ground, who was reporting on it, talking about how the club are trying to change, you know, the narrative about they're trying to discourage people from using the Y word. Mike has been to when Mike comes over, he goes and watches a lot of games, and he was at one of the Spurs games, and he took a camera in and he interviewed Spurs fans. He put this up on his Twitter account, and he interviewed Spurs fans and asked them why they use the Y word, and the people that he interviewed cannot give him an answer. Cannot give him a reason other than, you know, it's just the Y army. Yeah, exactly.
But Tom, you know, I made the decision many years ago to be more accountable for what I say at stadiums, for what comes out of my mouth.
Yeah,
there's like really interesting books you can read on like mob mentality and how people's personalities change when they're in a group versus when they're by themselves. Yeah. And I kind of started to think, like, you know, it makes no sense to kind of get rid of the accountability on the group. You have to be responsible for what you're saying. And that's just with the Y word, right? But actually, I've just listened to this video and it's, you know, it's disgusting. It's about foreskins. That's what they're singing about, this stupid song about foreskins. And then in the lyrics in the songs even say effing Jew. And like, this is like, with the Y word one, there can be that, I don't accept it, but there could be that plausible deniability.
Yeah.
That, I didn't know, and I don't know the history. This one, there is zero plausible deniability. I'm going to quote tweet that after this and tag Arsenal And Arsenal need to do something. Fans like that, until fans are kicked out and banned, nothing's going to change. That is unacceptable. And for anyone watching, if you think that, oh, it's just banter and all that sort of stuff, it's not banter when it's you, right? If that's effing P word or effing Muslim, and Muslims don't have foreskins either, yeah? So I'm going to stick up for my Jewish brothers here. You know, I'm not going to take kindly to that. And so I'd be a hypocrite to not say anything about it when it's Jews, and then all of a sudden when it's Muslims, pipe up and say, oh, this isn't nice. You've got to stamp it out wherever you see it. And it's just baffling to me. What has this got to do with football?
No,
so I get really angry by it.
Mo, I'm totally with you on this. The only problem I have with it all is the hypocrisy that comes with it. Because you know what? You'll get last week or 2 weeks ago, you'll get gay gooners, and obviously, you know, the journey they've been on and the stuff they've had to endure to, you know, and that's fine. I 100% understand that. But then, you know, and then anti-Semitism is always highlighted, and rightly so. But then, where does it stop? Where some matter and some others don't? I mean, you mentioned the Sikh situation.
Yeah.
I'm convinced, you know, why hasn't more been made of it? Why hasn't more been done about it? You know,
I think
I don't understand.
Situation, Arsenal have got involved, and actually they put something on the website as well. I think that has dealt with fine. I think in terms of the hypocrisy, right? You know, I've thought long and hard about this because, as far as I'm concerned, a big part of me is falling out of love with Arsenal because I feel like they don't give a crap about Muslims.
No,
do you know?
I feel like that too.
Yeah.
Not lie.
So when it comes to sticking up for Palestinians, for the Yemenis, or for the Uyghur Muslims, nothing. But when it comes to Ukrainians, they are. And that hypocrisy, where I stand on it, is that Arsenal can be on the wrong side of they can be incorrectly hypocritical, but as long as I'm on the right side, you know, I'm never ever going to join in with that hypocrisy and kind of like, as I've just said now, before it gets to Muslims being sung about and criticized, I'm going to stick up for my Jewish brothers and sisters. Yeah. 100%. So if people might look at me and say, "Oh, you've never stuck up for Muslims, right?" But because like I am Muslim, I feel like fine. People might call me a hypocrite, but I'm on the positive side of that hypocrisy. Eventually, people will see that I'll be consistent on every matter. But it is upsetting when you see your club not being consistent or not highlighting certain things. And for a long time, I've been thinking I want to pen a letter to Vinay Venkatesham and ask him for clarification on why, when Arsenal said it's, I can't remember the exact quote, but they basically said they distance themselves, or no, it's to not involve themselves in political matters, which is what they said after Mesut Ozil spoke about the Uyghur Muslims. What has changed now with the Ukrainian situation that has led them to do the correct thing that they didn't do? And, you know, when I have time, I do want to pen a letter to him because that hypocrisy is really upsetting.
Well, if you're going to kick out racism, kick it out. You don't handpick the racism you kick out or decide to approach. You either kicking it out or you're not. I mean, we've seen it before with the hypocrisy as well. When other fans from other clubs do it, and get a lot of epoxy 10, 20 grand fine and they're still in the Champions League or this, that, and the other. If you're going to say you're going to kick it out and you're really, you know, you're really passionate about it, then do it. If you're not, then don't bother. You know, this is where I go with it. You know?
But anyway, I think that the original point you asked me about and wanted me to bring something to the table is that like Arsenal fans, we're letting ourselves down right now. And I would just urge anyone, if you're doing anything about either of those incidents, go and kick it out of our club because it's a real black mark. And
if you hear it around you, say something.
Have a word. Just say like, guys, come on, that's not on. No Jewish, like, you know, it's a public train, right? There could be a random old Jewish woman who might have lost her husband in the Holocaust having to listen to that. Yeah. Well, why?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And Tom, is there anything you want to add on that?
No, I just think that if I'm in the ground and I see, you know, a racist incident or an anti-Semitic incident or anything that's discriminatory, and you're not calling it out, you know, I don't think I could live with that guilt of not, you know, calling it out. And if you see it in a stadium, you absolutely should report it. If you're not confident enough to go and confront someone, that is okay. Yeah. That's fine. You know, I'm not going to sit there and encourage someone who's not got, you know, I don't want to use the word brave because that's the wrong word. And it is brave to report it, just like Rob Holding did in that game earlier in this. I can't remember, was it Leeds? I can't remember what game it was, but it was some point earlier in the season and he did it. But if you can go and report it, you go to the nearest steward and you get it reported, you point out who it is, you give details to the person, what they look like, what they're wearing, and you do that. And that in itself is brave. You don't have to confront the person directly. You can take that matter forwards to someone else. And that's what you should be doing. It's horrible because we've sat here and we've criticised Chelsea on this show previously, and rightly, because there's been a lot of controversy and horrible things linked with a section of their fan base. But we have to own this as well when it is our club, and we have to accept that we aren't perfect and that we need to be working hard on our end to eradicate this type of behaviour as quickly as possible. And I mean, I agree with the hypocrisy side of things because it's probably a lot easier for me as well. And I'm never hide away from the fact of being, a white guy, that I'm never exposed to this.
I'd noticed, Tom. I thought you was one of my brothers,
But, I've never hide away from that fact that I obviously I'm privileged in a position that I've never had to deal with racism in my life. And, I only ever experience it through friends of mine that have experienced it. So the only thing I can do is continue to support and be as non-hypocritical as feasibly possible. And by the way, just to finish off, and sorry for rambling, the last thing about being hypocritical is say that you have been, in the past more anti this than the other, and that could be fairly described as being hypocritical and something. It doesn't mean that you can't then change, and from this point forwards act in a certain way that makes it more equal. And if you're being criticized for doing something in the past that you've now changed, that's no longer on you. You've done what you need to do, you've changed, and you've done that. If someone's criticizing you because in the past you were more in favor of one than the other or defending one than the other, that's on them because you've now acted and changed. So don't let that discourage you. You've got the actions to take now. I think the famous saying is the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is now. So change it now and move forward.
Very, very eloquently put, Tom. Huh?
Can we talk about predictions?
We can. Wait. Well, this is what I was going to go to next because people were in there going, how do we get into religion? And this, listen, all topics are important. And, yes, it's all positive right now. Absolutely. But why are we going to shy away from things that we're also doing wrong? We should highlight it. We've done it. Rightly so. We're moving on now to more positive conversations. Mo wants to talk about predictions. But I'll say I predicted 1-0 for the Villa game. I sent it to Shaheen. Did you not get a message?
I predicted 1-0 as well. Did you get my message?
Yeah, I've got yours, Mo, if you got mine.
What happened to Villa predictions? Did we not do it?
I messaged Shaheen and he said
I didn't get Tom's though, mate. No,
I thought 1-0 and I said 3-1 out loud. But you've not sent them in. I messaged Shaheen before the game saying, "Are we do them?" And he messaged me. I think it was like half time saying, "Oh no, I forgot." So look, at the end of the day, we've been doing one show a week. We did one prediction, which was we predicted the Liverpool game.
I think Shaheen should get penalised.
What did you predict for the Liverpool game, Lev? What was your prediction?
I said 1-1, didn't I?
Mo, what was yours?
Mine was 1-1. What did you say, Tom?
Shaheen's.
Yeah, you was the only one that got it right, weren't
you?
I
think I was the only one predicting a loss.
I like the fact that you're proud.
So I'm not proud. I'm not proud of that.
You are.
I'm not proud of it.
On your face.
Look at that smile.
In the chat, you want to question Tom's loyalty.
I'm just saying, I decided to go with my head over my heart in the sense that this is going to save me a significant amount of money. And look, it paid off. And what the lesson here is sometimes when it's
bet against your team
competition,
is that
bet against them, just predict. Just use your heads. That's all you need to do. Tom? I said 3-1 Liverpool, but
thank God, at least you didn't get a perfect score.
No,
what about Shaheen?
Yeah, I think Shaheen was 2-2, wasn't it? I think he said that.
No, anyway, very quickly, Perry Nagpal, thank you for your support, bro. You're always on this show. Love you, man. Aubameyang with another couple of great goals and an assist against Real Madrid last night. Gutted, we didn't keep him at Arsenal. That's another subject in a second. We'll go on to that. Thanks, Perry. Yeah, the predictions. So is this null and void then? This last game?
No, we just draw a line under that where you can say, we didn't do Villa. We didn't do it.
So where does it stand? And I'm bottom of the table, 2 points adrift. Am I?
Yeah, what is the score?
I'm just trying to tot it up. So Shaheen has got 8. I have got 6. Tom has got
5.
Oh.
earning his accountancy wage here, Mo.
Well, I got the 2-0 score against
Someone
Leicester,
got
right?
7.
Oh, so I'm second.
And Lev has got
1.
4. Lev, we told you, mate.
Boys, he who laughs last laughs loudest.
Lev, we told you, didn't we? We told
Mate,
you
there's
you're going to
10 games to go. What is wrong with you guys? Talk about
Yeah, but the way we're going, we'll miss 5 of us.
from here on, I'm just going to send text predictions, even if it's not done. So
Yeah,
then
we're going to say ours at the end of the show for the.
all right.
No, I suppose we won't because we'll do a show on Monday, won't we? Again,
Shaheen should have really texted. We'll do ours and then we'll ask Shaheen for it during the week, I guess.
Okay.
But we haven't got a game for like another 2
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Crystal Palace
No
away
point
on
doing
the
it,
Monday.
is it?
Yeah.
Might as well do it next week. Do it on next week's show.
Okay, we'll do it next week. So, okay, the Aubameyang situation
There
seems
is
to
no
be...
situation.
Whoa, clearly there is because people won't stop shutting up about it. They won't shut up about it.
Mate.
So, very quickly, we'll address the Aubameyang thing. Everyone's saying, look, he's scoring goals now. Were we right to let him go, etc., etc.? But my argument is always, we wouldn't be playing as we are if we still had him. So I'll let you guys take over this debate.
Well, what is going wrong at Arsenal for us to be sort of wishing for Aubameyang to come back? What are we lacking?
A striker is their argument.
Well, why do you want strikers?
We're scoring goals and winning games and getting points.
To score goals to win games.
Mm.
How many points have we got out of the last 39 since he was dropped, I think it is?
Is it 30?
Well, we've had the best run out of
32?
everybody in the Prem, haven't we?
31. 31 points out of 39 since he was left out of the team. Things are going well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Aubameyang scoring.
Look, I think that the argument is on some side is apparently that Arteta couldn't get the best from Aubameyang, and now Xavi is. Which I find silly because, at the end of the day, Arteta's got a certain style and he wants to move towards this style. When he first took over, we played one way and, we've moved away from that and we're now establishing a different style in this new 4-3-3. When we started, we played a 3-4-3 and that led us to an FA Cup and Aubameyang was a big part of that. So the argument that Arteta can't get the best out of Aubameyang is wrong because he did and he won an FA Cup getting the best from Aubameyang, scoring goals and won us an FA Cup. He then wanted to change the way in which he wanted to establish his philosophy at Arsenal, and that style did not fit what Aubameyang was, and that's fine because Aubameyang is a 32-year-old player who's not going to be here for the long term. So moving away from Aubameyang as a player that fits what we were doing is fine, especially when you've got a backup striker like Lacazette, who, whilst isn't a prolific goal scorer, his style still fits what Mikel Arteta is doing, and that's why in the 14 games that Aubameyang played this season in the Premier League, we scored 18 goals, and in the 13 games since he's been dropped, we've scored 26. And it's as simple as that.
That's a great argument. That's a great argument.
In the summer, hopefully we'll sign a striker that's even better than Lacazette and fits the way in which Arteta wants to play.
And even better than Aubameyang as well. And the thing is, it's a shame because, often in football, a player will move on and, you'll be a little bit upset about it. When Henry moved, when Vieira moved, and countless other players, they've moved on, you'll be a bit upset about it. On this occasion, not only did he move at the right time and Arsenal have been better as a result, but with, as I said, money helps with trophies. We've managed to save on his wages, which hopefully will be reinvested into the squad. That's the benefit that's yet to come. And then on top of that as well, any fan that's got some love for Aubameyang because of what he did for Arsenal, and I'm one of those people, I'm really happy for him as well. He's doing well. Arsenal are doing well. There is no situation. It's just a win-win. So, and when it's a win-win, why are we talking about it as if it's an issue? It's kind of a bit annoying to me.
Look, I get the mentality behind it is we're lacking a striker. Everyone can see it. Arteta wasn't getting a tune out of Aubameyang in his last season or so. And then the way they look at it then, and it's again maybe down to the people that wanted Arteta out originally, is again looking for a reason why to still want Arteta out or to still find fault with Arteta. But look, despite this amazing run we've been on, which has been far better than when we had Aubameyang in the side, Aubameyang's now scoring. Look, Arteta didn't get a tune out of him. But then you could always argue that it's a totally different league. It's less physical. right? It was probably a good move for him and a good move for us.
And he said that himself.
Yeah,
and also look at the peaks and troughs of Aubameyang's career at Dortmund, for example. It was going great, then he fell out. Came to Arsenal, going great, then he fell out. It's a bit of a cycle. He needed a change of environment. So for me, this wasn't a failure solely on Arteta's part. Yes, it was partly Arteta that he wasn't able to sweet talk him, win him over again, and have that incredible man management. But it's also on Aubameyang's part. There will just be times, unfortunately, over a long enough timeline, one of us guys might fall out and need a change of scenery. It just happens. What happened
to Shaheen? He's not in no more.
But look, sometimes it happens. So it's not a failing on any individual. It's a collective failing. But thankfully, it's just worked out for the best. And for me, it's just it's a good outcome to what was a really negative situation.
You know what's going to happen with Saliba in the summer, don't you, Lev? Like Saliba's going to, if Saliba comes back and does well, it'll be a case of, why did we have entertained the whole time? You know what's going to happen. And the fact of the matter is that this loan to Marseille has been brilliant for him. We could have gone better. Yeah, it's absolute perception.
It's perception. You either look at it like, oh my God, Arteta's done a great thing there, sent Saliba on loan. Now look at him, he's playing international football for France. Look at all our free centre backs that we have. Gabriel, you've got White. He's being picked for the England squad. You now got, Martinelli. Martinelli's playing for Brazil. This is all positive stuff. But instead, we still have some people that are looking for the negatives. And as much as I was one who would have wanted Saliba at Arsenal this season. It could have been that he didn't get any game time because Gabriel and White were playing. You just never know. So stop moaning. And the way I see it is, Aubameyang is scoring, yes, but at the same time, for this team to move forward and to change the mentality, the philosophy, the way we play, the style, everything to be implemented the way Arteta wanted it, clearly Aubameyang wasn't fitting in that in that shape or in that style of play anymore. He's not the best of footballers. He's a world-class finisher, he's a world-class striker, but he's not a world-class footballer, in my opinion. And Lacazette does some of the stuff that Aubameyang can't. As you got to, Mo, I'm in that thought because I do think Aubameyang is a world-class goal scorer, but as a footballer, technically, I don't think he's the most gifted.
I think that's his game. I think Aubameyang intentionally often plays on the periphery because he plays in the shadows. He's a master at that. So I don't think that he wants to be the drop deep, visible in the game and attracting attention, attracting markers. He almost wants players to get in a comfort zone with him. Yeah. And you see a lot of great tap-in merchants do that, where a defender thinks, you ain't much, I've got you covered, and then they ghost in. And before you know it, it's like, what? That's what they've done all game. But they choose their moments. And it's actually very, very intelligent. So I think Aubameyang doesn't get enough credit. I think he's a master at what he does. And
but my point, Mo, is he didn't fit the way Arteta wants to play.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I think I disagree on the point about him not being a great footballer. I think his record speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think that he was perfect for our system. And ultimately, it's not a manager's job to get a tune out of one player. It's a manager's job to get a tune out of the group to therefore win games. That's what Arteta's doing. It might not have been the right decision. We might have been slightly better off with Aubameyang. Who knows? But ultimately, if Arteta achieves his minimum objectives, then fine.
Don't get me wrong. I'd much rather still have Aubameyang coming off the bench with 20 for 25 minutes to go to get us a goal than Eddie Murphy. I'll be honest with you. And that's not me being rude to Nketiah. I just don't think, if you compare other strikers in the leagues, I just don't think he cuts it. And, he's an honest lad. He works hard. Don't get me wrong. I've got nothing personal against him, but he just doesn't fit that sort of upper
Yeah, well,
echelon type striker that we need.
Yeah,
give it till summer, and then we'll see what Arteta does to find that perfect player for his system. But right now, things are going well, so I don't think we need to worry about this whole Aubameyang thing.
So the message is, people, stop moaning. Be here in the present. Look at what we're doing as a club right now. We're positive. We've achieving more than we expected this season. There's a real like great spirit in this team at the moment, and there's a connection between the fans and the players that we haven't had in a long time. So stop searching for the negatives. Get behind the team. Let's get positive. It is what it is now. So, you know, just move on from it. So is there anything you guys want to add before we go? Because it's been over an hour now, and I know Shaheen would have kicked us off 4 minutes ago.
I'll just quickly say,
yes,
Aubameyang, well done. Keep it up. Brilliant performance in the El Clasico. Sensational assist. Really good finishes. Good on you, mate. And Arsenal, let's keep on doing what we're doing. Good times.
Okay,
absolutely.
Tom.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're Arsenal fans, mate. Like I find it mad that even in this time where we're pushing forwards, we're progressing, we're seeing improvement across the board. There's a defined style of play that we're seeing every week. You know, players like Saka and Smith Rowe are stepping up. We've got Lacazette, who's got, you know, goal contributions coming out of his ears. They may not be goals, but he's certainly assisting. And you know, we're playing really well, and we're beating teams that we weren't beating before, and we're going towards a target that we didn't think we'd have at the start of the season. So I think that we're in a position now where we can be happy as Arsenal fans and, you know, push ourselves towards the end of the season. Let's, you know, be more unified as a group.
Thank you, Tom. And Shaheen, can you stop pretending to be Arsenal manic? It's getting embarrassing now. But look, top four, guys, very quickly, I'll ask the question. How are you feeling about top four? Are we going to make top four? Do you think we're favourites for it now? Very quickly.
I say yes. I just can't get over how easy Spurs is running this. When I look at those fixtures, it's it's a frustration. But yeah, I think we are favourites for it. Yeah,
absolutely. Tom, you're too coy. Like, it's just a yes. Absolutely.
I think we can do it. I'm just so worried, mate.
No, listen,
everyone's got PTSD in this as fans, haven't we? We're still waiting for it to go wrong.
Yeah, I hear that. And obviously people, they don't want this clip chopped up saying, you know, look, it's 21st of March right now. I'm saying, yes, Arsenal are favourites of the top four. If we don't get the top four from this point, from when I'm saying it right now, it's a massive failure. We've got games in hand, we've better goal difference, more points already. We can afford to slip up and still maintain our position top four. Of course we're favourites. Let's accept that. Football is a pressure sport. You can't pussyfoot around that pressure and avoid it. We are the favourites, and we have to accept that, chest out, and go and achieve it.
100%. You've heard it here first, guys. We are the favourites. I agree with Mo. It's ours for the taking. It's there for the taking. It's going to be tough. I'm not saying it's not. There's going to be some roller coaster rides, but you know what? We can do this. So get behind your team. Please, in the chats and in comments after, let us know what you think in regards to top four. Also, let us know, how you prefer, if you prefer it with us three and no Shaheen doing the hosting, because, he wants that feedback. Give us some insight into what you want us to do next. But on a serious note, Shaheen will be back next week. If you want him back, we'll bring him back. So, guys, thank you for joining us. You guys in the chat, brilliant as always. I've been reading a lot of the stuff you've been writing. I'll be going on to the comments after. Hit the likes if you haven't already. If you haven't subscribed, where have you been? Subscribe. We've got some more shows coming. I believe we've got one with Dan Potts and Lee. It's been changed to Friday. If you want to come down on Friday, 7 p.m, Dan Potts and Lee, we'll be talking about top four and Arsenal and all other things as well. So that's it for us. Mo, do you want to say anything else? Do you want to say goodbye to all the loungers? Tom, you want to say goodbye to all the loungers?
Goodbye to all the loungers.
See you later.
And Shaheen, you have not been missed. And make sure you put that in the comments as well, guys. So we are now out of here. Peace out.